Assignment number 3 in Canva is going to be about aligning and distributing. You take objects and get them all lined up and spaced out nice and evenly. And I have a little exercise I want you to do with that. Let's go to the handout first of all, and this will be posted on Classroom. So here are the required parts of this. We're going to work with an 8.5 by 11 inch page again that is blank at the beginning. You have to start from scratch, no templates. I'll show you how to do this 3-page thing. You can add pages as you build, so that's coming up in the demo. Just keep watching. Page 1 is going to have to contain a horizontal row of some shapes or objects that is nicely lined up and distributed, and also a vertical column of shapes or objects that are aligned and distributed. I'll show you how to do it. Page 2 is going to have a border. You have to construct a border that goes all the way around the page, and you're going to do it by using some shapes and aligning them and distributing them, and I'll show you how to do it. Page 3 has a checkerboard pattern made out of squares, made out of boxes, that fills most of the page, and all of the rows are going to have to be nicely aligned and distributed, and I'm going to show you how to do it. All right, so it's a 3-page thing. All of it involves aligning things, lining things up, and getting them spaced out nice and evenly. And so that's what we're working on doing today. 10 points for each page, 30-point assignment. You'll get to canva.com to get yourself going. I have a few options right here, but I'm going to show you. Save and submit the same way we've been doing. All right, so let's go. Here's one that's already done. You're looking at page 1 right now. This row of red stars is a horizontal arrangement of stars that are all lined up nicely and spaced out evenly, and that's what we're going to look at. And then these little objects here, these leaves that are going down, that's like a column of several objects that are all nice and lined up and spaced out evenly, and we're going to look at how to do that. Let's roll it on down to page 2. This page has a border. I made the border myself, and you're going to see how to do it, and you can use whatever little shape or object you feel like you want to use, but I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. It's got a border that looks very, it looks good because it's all spaced out evenly, and it works well. The last page has a checkerboard pattern with alternating colors, and it's filling most of the page. And again, I'm going to show you how you can do this by using a few little alignment and some other tricks. So those are the 3 pages right there. A horizontal row and a vertical column on page 1, a border on page 2, and a checkerboard pattern on page 3. Okay, let's get back to our home on Canva. And this is where you'll begin, right? You get to Canva, get to the home page, get logged in. I'm going to go to custom size. I've got it all kind of set up here because I want to move quick. I've got inches, 8.5 by 11. Create new design. You could do it 11 by 8.5 if you want to, if you'd rather. That's okay. Create new design, and off we go. We have a blank page. We're ready to roll. I'm going to go to backgrounds. I'm just going to use a color. I'll go to the color picker. I'm going to go with a shade of green here, kind of a light green. I'm happy with that. Got it. You can do whatever you want for the background, really. It doesn't matter. All right, our first page has to have, first of all, a horizontal row of objects that is all nicely lined up and nicely distributed. Let's make at least 5, probably more. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Elements over here on the left-hand side, and you could use Shapes. There's a section for lines and shapes. Or you could pull something out of this graphics section. That could work too for you, either one. All right, I'm going to go to shapes, and I'll say see all, and I'm going to use a star. There's a 5-pointed star here. You wouldn't have to use a star. You could use whatever you want. So I'll just click the star, and it puts a star on the sheet. Make it small. We don't want this to be very big. Make it kind of small. We're going to need at least like 5 of these, and probably more than 5. But at least 5, I would say. All right, I'll bring this up here. I'm going to change its color with this little color chip right here, and I think I'll just make it red. You can do whatever color you want, doesn't matter. Now, we need several of those. To pull this off, to show me that you can do it, we need several copies of that. Here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to press down the Alt key on the keyboard and just drag that object, and it makes copies. It doesn't really matter a whole lot where I put them right now. Oops, I didn't mean to make that bigger. Control-Z will undo. So I'm just holding the Alt key and dragging a bunch of them, and just kind of getting them in there any old where right now. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so they're a mess right now. They're not lined up. And I know that you could move them around and it gives you those little purple lines, but I'm going to show you a way that you can make sure that these are all lined up and all spaced out, and they're going to look okay. All right, so I'm going to select all of those stars. I'll take my mouse and click and drag so I select all of them like that. I'm going to go to the position button up here on the top right. First of all, I am going to align their horizontal middles. Now, if you click the wrong button, just try clicking a different button. But I'm going to click this middle button right here, and I think that's going to help. Look at the stars. They're not spaced out correctly, but they're nice and lined up now. So I click that middle button, and that really did help. All right, now down here where it says space evenly, I want to do that horizontally. So I'll just click that, and see, it's as easy as that. Now I can just go back and click on that position button to close that, and look, it's all lined up, it's all spaced out, it all looks really good. Okay, so that one's done. Now if you want to, you can select all of these stars and click this button that says group. What that will do is just group them together, kind of like glue them together so they don't come apart. So if I click group, they're now just one piece. I could always ungroup them if I want to. If I come up here, the button says ungroup now, and I could do that if I want. All right, now the other thing that has to go on page 1 is a vertical thing, kind of like the horizontal thing. All right, well, I'm going to go back over here and hit the back arrow, and I think I'll do this with a graphic. I'm going to go to the graphics section, and I'll hit See All. I don't know. I'll go find something I like. I don't want anything animated. Don't use stickers. I don't want anything animated on this. Just use something that is a little like graphic that we can work with here. Okay, I'm scrolling down and kind of looking and at what I might think I might want. It doesn't really matter a lot. I'm being a little bit too picky, actually. Vivid contrast objects. Very nice. This looks like a virus or something. I don't even know what it is, but I'm going to click it. All right, so there we go. Now I'm going to take this object, again, make it small, whatever that is. I'm going to make it small. And then we want several copies of that, at least 5, probably more than 5, probably more like 8 or 10 or so, right? So I've got one copy of it. I made it small. I'm going to hold the Alt key down and just start dragging. And I know that, like I said, I know that, yeah, the little purple guidelines do kind of help, and you could use those some. But what I'm showing you here doesn't really even matter. You don't even have to be that careful, because what I'm going to do now that I have several of these, and they're a mess right now, but I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to come to that position button, and I'm going to align their centers. It's their vertical centers here, so I'm going to align their vertical centers. Boom, that got them all lined up, but they are not spaced out nicely right now. So down here where it says space evenly, I'm going to go vertically, and we'll do that. And now if you'll look at those objects that I have there, they're lined up, they're spaced out, it looks great. And so I'm going to go ahead and group that. I think I'll group it just because I feel like it. You don't really have to group it, but I think I will. And then I could move it around a little bit if I want to. Okay, so page 1 is done. Yay, let's move on. So how do you do this? Well, not rocket science here, people. Look down at the bottom, and it says Add Page. Okay, so I'm going to add a page, and that gives me page 2. Now, the job on page 2 is to build a border that goes all the way around. Take some object, make it fairly small, and use it for a border. And again, you could use something that comes out of the graphics section if you want to, but I think what I'll do is go back over here to lines and shapes. I'm going to use something out of the shapes collection, but if you want to use something out of the graphics collection, you could. Just don't use anything that's animated or moving. I don't want motion on this. I just want like regular shapes or objects or whatever. All right, so I'll go See All. I think I'm going to use a heart. Okay, use whatever you want, but I think I'm going to use a heart. So I'll click that. Now I'm going to change that color to a yellowish color, I think. No, you know what? I'm going to go purple. I think that's what you saw in my other one that I showed you a moment ago. So I think I'll go purple heart, and I'm going to make it small. I don't want it to be big. Right? I want this border to be made out of small purple hearts, not great big ones. And I'll just kind of bring it up here and drop it in the corner. So let's just worry about I'll just worry about the top first. Similar thing to what you just saw. I'm going to hold the Alt key and just drag enough of those that I feel like it's going to fill up the top edge well enough. I don't know how many I'm going to have here. I'll get, what have I got, 7? Maybe I'll do one more. I'll get 8 of them in there. And I'm just going to kind of rough them in there a little bit, right? Doesn't really matter. They don't have to be perfect right now because I'm going to make them perfect. All right, so I'll select those and use the position button, and I'm going to select their centers, or I'm going to line up their centers that way, and then space them out horizontally like that. And I'll click there. Now I could group that if I wanted to and make it a group. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to yet, though. I'll ungroup it. All right, so that does the top border, but isn't the bottom border going to be like the same as the top border? Well, yeah. So I'll just select all of those, and I'll do that trick where I press down the Alt key and just drag this, and when you hold the Alt key and you drag it, it makes a copy. And it's even helping me line this up nicely here, right? Those lines are helping me kind of get it all lined up, and it's looking pretty good. All right, so let's drop that in there, and I've got my top and bottom border done. All right, so now I need a left and a right border. The border has to go all the way around. Okay, so I'll just Alt drag one more of these. I'll just hold my Alt key and drag a heart. And then I'm gonna hold my Alt key and drag several of them again, kind of like I did before. That looks okay. They're not, on this assignment, that actually doesn't even look that bad to have them kind of zigzaggy like that. But on this assignment, I don't want that. All right, don't do that on this assignment. I want them lined up. All right, so I'm going to select these that are on this side right here. I'll get them all selected. And on the position tab, I'm going to say, well, okay, let's line up their centers. I'll do that. And then I'm going to space them out evenly vertically. I'll do that. And that looks pretty good here for a left border. I'll just kind of get it positioned in there the way I feel like I want it. And now I have all of those selected. And I just want to get the same thing over on the right side. So I'll hold down the Alt key on the keyboard and just drag it over and get it all kind of nice and lined up. That looks pretty good. Those purple lines are helping me. I'll let go of the mouse, let go of the Alt key. Look at that. So that's a border. Yay. So page 2 is done, right? Up here on page 1, we just lined up some objects horizontally and then vertically. Kind of using that idea here, doing horizontal lineup and vertical lineup to make a border that goes all the way around the page. All right, let's add our third page. We have to do one more page, so I'm going to add a page. We're going to make a checkerboard. Okay, here we go. Well, over here on the lines and shapes, I would recommend you just use a square, right? I think that's going to be the easiest thing to do. All right, so I'm just going to take a square. I'm going to size it down. Now, here's the thing about building this. You're going to want on the first row, the first row is the one you have to kind of pay a little bit of attention to, but you're going to want an even number of squares. Probably, I don't know, it depends on how big you make them, but probably 6 or 8 or 10. But don't try to do 7 or 9, right? Okay, so I'm going to use alternating red and black. So I'll make that one red. I'm going to hold the Alt key and drag it. I'll make this one black. And then I'm going to get them so they're touching like that. Right? Got those two squares just right next to each other. They're nice and lined up. I'm going to select both of those. I'll hold the Alt key and I'll drag that and get them touching. All right. Now I'm going to scoot that over a little bit. I'll hold the Alt key. I'll drag that and I'll get them touching. That's my top row right there. Red, black, red, black, red, black. I've got a total of 8 squares. If you count them, it's a total of 8. You just need an even number. Start with one color, alternate to the other color, back to the first color, alternate to the other. All right, so red, black, red, black, red, black. I've got 8 of them. Now I'm going to select all of those, hold the Alt key, drag it down. Now, I've got another row, but what's true about a checkerboard? The colors are, you have to kind of reverse the colors on the second row. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that rotation handle, and I'm going to rotate it by 180 degrees. All right, so let's just rotate 180. Watch that little readout in there. I'm going to try to get it. If I can, I'm going to try to get it perfect. Come on. 179. I'm not hitting 180. Give me 180. Come on. Can I hold the shift key? No, that doesn't help me. There, I got it. 180. Yay. You have to kind of fiddle with it a little bit. All right, I'm going to let go of the mouse. Now I want to make sure all those are selected, and I'll just raise them up in here into place. Got it. The first 2 rows are done, and the rest of it's easy. Because what I'm going to do now is select those 2 rows. I'm going to hold the Alt key and just drag that down. And the little purple lines will help you line it up. I'm going to drop that in. Now I'm going to select all 4 of those rows. Hold the Alt key. Drag that down. Now I don't think I have room for 4 more rows on here. All right, I'm looking at my page. I think 2 more rows would fit. So I think I'll select 2 more rows. Hold the Alt key. Drag it down. And that looks pretty darn good. I think I've been successful at making a very nicely arranged, nicely distributed, looks professional, looks good. It's a checkerboard pattern, and it does not look sloppy. And that's what we're trying to do here, is make a checkerboard pattern. It's page layout tricks, using alignment, using using the guides that you have to help you, and I've got it all built. So let's look back at the whole thing now. Page 1, a horizontal row and a vertical column of some shapes that you aligned and spread out nice and even. Page 2, a border. And it's really using the same tricks that you did up here. You're just using them to make a border all the way around the page, across the top, left, right, bottom, all the way around. Page 3, checkerboard. All right. Now you might want to come up here on the top right, and where it says, it might say Untitled Design. And what we're doing today is, you could say line up or aligning, A-L-I-G-N. That would work. That's what we're doing, is we're aligning objects and distributing objects. So I'm just going to call it align. That sounds good to me. And then you would just do what we've done before. You would download, and then just download the file and get back to Classroom and click the plus button on the assignment and click File and then upload your assignment. All right, there you go. Give it a ride.